Yes, that The Lost Souls. Brilliant Patrick Troughton story. I bet you didn't see the ending coming, huh? Yeah, that ending was a great ending. And all along it was... But Zach pitched a story which was set on a mental asylum, and I thought it was great. And he pitched me the whole opening. The doctor would wake up, he would hear strange voices, he would walk over, he'd see an alien race from Gallifrey being tortured. I love the whole idea. I actually remember saying to him on an email, or to Justin, that I wanted it to be the Cybermen involved because they're trying to find out where one is. Who or what one is, we're not sure yet. But ultimately, it does now reveal that Maria has some unusual powers. That the cyber conglomerate are incredibly powerful. And they are actually, there isn't just one cyber controller or cyber leader or cyber director. There's actually an entire conglomerate who are running the Cybermen, for want of a better word.
When it came to script editing Zach Morland's story, his first draft basically had the Centrals as the villains. They were worm-like creatures who had psychic abilities and were tormenting the Second Doctor, with the Eighth Doctor coming to the rescue. However, they were going to be CGI heavy, and they really had no connection whatsoever to the cyber conglomerate. So I asked Zach to do a rewrite, and instead of the Centrals, putting in as the villain a mysterious character known as the Director, who would be in charge of the asylum and would be forcing Dr. Cavil to perform unethical experiments on the Second Doctor. Brendan saw both drafts and he said, I like the Director, I like the connection to the cyber conglomerate, but I also like the Centrals. I think there's something exciting there too. What if we can put it all into one story? Maybe the Centrals could be victims of the Director. And that's what I did, is I took Zach's original draft, his rewritten version, and combined them with some additional contributions from myself and some suggestions from Brendan. And that's how we got to the actual final story that you watch today. We wanted to keep it dark, we wanted to keep it scary, but we also wanted to utilize both the Centrals and the character of the Director.
And so I remember filming this one was really quite straightforward, actually. We wanted it to be dark, we wanted the walls to look like tiles. We had this figure which was pretty gross, actually, provided by Justin, and we sort of dressed it up in a cloak and everything, but we wanted it to look like the inside of a flesh-eaten Cyberman. Again, sort of hinting toward the where the stories are going. I can't say anything else. So The Lost Souls was pretty straightforward in terms of filming. We lit it really well, I think. So The Lost Souls took probably, I think about same as Heart of Steel, by 4 nights to film, and it took about 2 weeks to edit. And Rex's voices, I mean, they just get better each time. We wanted this really weird sounding voice. And Patrick Troughton being in it as well, I think is a great Doctor. He's really, he does that balance of comedy and serious really well, which is quite difficult to get right. But I thought the script was fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
For episode 2, The Lost Souls, the CGI shots for that episode were of the capital city on Gallifrey. Now that proved to be quite a task to do, mainly because I had to model the ground, the buildings, the site, everything I had to model, and it was quite a task modelling a city upwards, then having the fun part of destroying it, because in the last series Gallifrey itself was heavily damaged, so in this series the capital city is undergoing repairs but is still very badly damaged. So that was a really fun element of getting to do Gallifrey, is basically destroying it. Like the Heart of Steel, before I started modelling, I collected a whole load of concept images and a whole ton of reference images from the new series of Doctor Who to several really beautiful paintings that I found online of what some fans have interpreted the Gallifreyan city to look like. For the central tower of the Capitol itself, I actually took inspiration from the 8th Doctor comic strip, The Final Chapter, which is a really good story. In that strip, the central tower in Gallifrey is actually a time rotor similar to the TARDIS console. So in my model, I incorporated that feature into the building itself for the central tower, which I think fits quite well with the whole Time Lord theme, and the city in general. I think it felt in quite well. For the rest of the city, I looked at modern buildings with slightly trying to get a gothic feel, so I added lots of spires, spikes. All the windows you see on the buildings are based off actual church windows, just to give it that slightly more gothic feel. As I say, I had to destroy the city as well. So what I did was I made the buildings intact first, and once the model for the intact building was complete, I set about then just pulling them to pieces and making them look heavily damaged. A lot of the damage effect is done through the textures as well. For instance, you've got a lot of carbon scoring, heat damage from where the city's been destroyed. I've placed fires all over the city to show that it's not really in a good way at the moment. As well as adding the damage textures for the buildings itself, I took a lot of the Gallifreyan text and started putting that on, and the Gallifreyan logos, and added those to the models, just so you know who the city belongs to. The landscape itself, I was quite happy with how that turned out.